Thank you, Shalu. Thank you, Marianne, for all the work and bringing this community together. We've been through a hell of a year. So we're always told that carbon is evil, global warming is bad, and we need to save the polar bears. Now, the nice thing is, in sustainability, when I look at sustainability, when I think about sustainability, I look at this city. And for me, sustainability is fundamentally about how do we deliver an economy to an urban world? How do we get 8 billion people working, living, eating, having a quality of life, education, healthcare? And then what do those systems look like? What does it take to deliver that? Now, when we talk about carbon emissions, when we talk about food failures, that is basically a fundamental breakdown of the systems that are required. And so for me as a sustainability professional, it's how do we elevate this and minimize the failures here? And so obviously, if you were here in 2014, you would remember these days when people really started to think like, this is a tangible problem. This isn't carbon and polar bears many years away, 2030, 2040, 2060. It's our lives. It's our children. We need to do something now. And that's why I always say like, sustainability here is just phenomenal because this is the best place in the world to be if you're focused on this. Now, when it comes to this session, I'm really going to focus more on waste. And this is one of my favorite quotes from a piece of work that we did. It's, waste is of valuable materials that have just been misplaced. What I found is there's a huge gap when it comes to retail, not just in what consumers do, not just in what's in the factories, but in the process of actually merchandising, selling, making the new season attractive. All of this work that we've done basically came down to answering three questions. So the first question is, what is the waste that is being created? Like if you want to solve this problem, if everyone here is here to solve this problem of waste, the first thing you need to know is what is the waste that you're dealing with? Is it the clothing? Is it, he was mentioning the carpeting? Is it the furniture? What are you trying to solve? And then the second thing that we always answer is, where does it go? I have to tell you, this is the most fun part of my job, is when I figure out what retailer, like if they have an aluminum or they have a wood or they have a ceramic or they have a mannequin, where does it go? And what we found was 95% of the time, waste does not leave Shanghai. It goes to factories in Songjiang, Minhang, Baoshan, everywhere. It's a very circular economy. But it doesn't always go to the best places. Some of the factories have low emission standards. Some of the factories have poor labor standards. Some of the factories shouldn't be there because they're next to the water streams. So the three questions when we're starting when it comes to retail sustainability is, what's the waste? Where does it go, and what happens to it? Because what we're trying to accomplish is to do, how can we do better? Now, honestly, there's no magic wand. Most companies are setting out goals that they will maybe not achieve, but some of them with the intention of doing the best they can to achieve. And so there's a lot of great work here. When you can answer these three questions with the real intention, you can make real progress. And so doing a bit better. Okay, so for one of my clients, we did this. They asked, what happens if we take back this material? Is there any place to put it? Now, this is a local supply chain filled with amazingly talented people. They had no idea where to process that resource. Within 100 kilometers, we found 55 to 60 sites that you could do that. This was one of them. Not very pretty, is it? I'm not sure if any of you want your stuff going there and saying, that's sustainable. This one was beautiful. This is the top end, not too far away. This one makes a lot of money. This one's affordable. This one's economical. This one's efficient. This one does not make any financial sense in the world as of 5 years ago, but that's changing. So if you want to really fix the problem, if you want to get to zero waste or zero waste to landfill, which is what a lot of people talk about, you have to really do a lot of work. What I found was it's actually very easy in many ways to find the Band-Aid, to find the easy 5%, 10%, 15%. You can recycle polyester very quickly. Any aluminum, any wood, any plastic, very easy. Doesn't even matter the quality. It doesn't mean it becomes a better product, but you can make sure it doesn't go to landfill. And oftentimes, you can even make sure that if it's not landfill, it goes to an incinerator. And the government kind of actively asks for that incineration of some products, like wood. And they'll give you a green credit for it. Now, I'm not saying that incineration is better, but if you can make sure it goes to the best incinerator, that's ADB certified, well, you're making a little bit of progress. So you can make little progress. But the problem is to get all of this done. It's a lot of work to get to this, and it's a long timeline. If I'm really honest, this is the hard one. Basically the transparency. No brand, no supply chain, no VP of supply chain wants to be transparent about where it's going, what the quality is, and oftentimes they don't even know. So there's 3 reasons why this will shift and why I believe that all of you, regardless of where you are and whether or not you believe in saving the world, will be forced to do better. The first one is government regulation. Actually, the professor here, he mentioned we now do this. The reality is if you follow, that bin and that bin, nothing's changed. The city doesn't take that. It's still the informal guys on the Sanlunchas going up and down Xinhualu. The second layer is in the retail environment. If you're inside of a mall, you're inside of a corporate office, and you want to throw this away, and it's inside the line, you have to get approval from your landlord. They have to weigh it. You have to pay for that waste to go out. Now, I will argue that that price of waste will go up over time because the city has no landfill space, but at least there's transparency. But then for the retail environment, the second problem, the big problem that nobody talks about, is this stuff right here. This is the stuff, if you go down to Huaihai Road, Nanjing Donglu, wherever your favorite shopping district is, at about 2:30 in the morning, stores are dumping all the retail, merchandising, sales, marketing crap on the sidewalk. All the banners, all the mannequins, all the walls, all the hangers come out because their supplier wants to refresh. Now, it's not for every store, but it's for the flagships for sure. And we've done a few projects around this. One store that we were looking at was 6 tons of steel alone every month. Out, in and out, in and out. And we followed where that went, and we tried to figure out what to do with it. But this, getting back to transparency, is not recorded yet. Only now are the commercial buildings, the malls, starting to think, wait a second, our first footprint needs to include that. No, you don't. No, you don't. You stay right there. All right. I only got 2 more slides. The second one is economics and efficiency. Now, first off, retail sales this year, not quite so good. Haven't been good for a while. The price of things are getting more expensive. And as things get more expensive, as wood gets more expensive, steel gets more expensive, materials get more expensive, you want to waste less because you don't have the budget to spend more. So we're already starting to see economics do some real good here. Because if it costs more and you're not selling more, then you're not going to want to do this every month. This is a basketball court going into one store. Huge. Took like 12 guys to get it in there on dollies. And that went out 2 weeks later for something else. You're not going to do that every 2 months. And the third thing that I'm going to say is going to happen is the innovation around design and materials. One of the best things that a lot of retailers are doing is starting to adapt to LCD screens, OLED screens. These are coming in. You just replace the screen as you need to. But it doesn't require so much waste, right? But there's also tons of new materials. This is plastic becoming wood. This is straw becoming wood. And this is actually this thing here, it's a vacuum that they hook up to a river in Shanghai or in Suzhou. They take out all the little plastics and they turn it into building materials. This guy built a hospital in Taipei using kodrar, like she's wearing. Create a hospital, everything in it. There's a lot of innovation. It's very cool. It doesn't influence your consumer behavior. Because a lot of times when people are like, we need this, the number one reason why I always heard that, don't mess with my consumer experience in my store. You can make it sustainable, but they have to buy things. But the materials are changing, so it gets a lot easier. And so for me, these are the 3 reasons why ultimately all of us will grow more sustainable. We'll do better. Not just because we want to. I think a lot of us want to. A lot of us want to do good for our community, for the world, for the polar bears, whatever. But a lot of us will also respond to regulation, economics, and innovation.